We've all seen this. A public figure finally makes it, and suddenly, their 10-year-old tweet or something they said as a reckless teenager gets dragged into the spotlight. And the question always seems to follow: have they really changed? Or are they just performing change because they are accepted now? Are they genuinely better people? Or just better at playing the part? And when does it stop being fair to hold these past mistakes against them? Does it ever stop? Have you ever felt like people are watching your every move, waiting for you to slip up? But what if you're not even famous? Why does the fear of losing reputation hit so hard? Especially when you are just you. This is sometimes curious, often confused. I'm Richard Okonwo. If you have ever felt a little out of place, you're in the right spot. Here, we explore the questions most people overlook without pretending to have all the answers. The awkward, the oddly relatable, the ones that make you wonder, am I the only one thinking about this? If you are curious enough to keep asking, you are exactly where you need to be. Today, we are talking about something we've all probably thought about: reputation. Why does it feel so personal when people criticize us? Why does it feel like we're being cancelled even when we are not even famous? In Nigerian culture, reputation can feel bigger than an individual. You're not just representing yourself, you're representing your family, your community, and sometimes your entire background. And there is this fear of being judged. We care so much about how people perceive us, how people understand us. What if the thing I'm trying to put out there is not received as I intend it to be received? What if I was just joking? What if I was just playing around? What if I was serious? What if I was young? I mean, too young that I didn't even know what I was doing. So let's create a hypothetical person. Let's say there is someone who is 27 years old today, whose 10-year-old tweet surfaced. Tweets that they made when they were, that should be 17, yeah. It should have been an easy math. 27 minus 10, that's 17. Yes. They tweeted when they were 17. And in different parts of the world, they are not even legally considered an adult. But now it's being used against them. And there is this idea that the reason why it's being used against them is because when they were 17, they probably had nothing to lose. They had no reputation, in other words. They were not famous, they were not rich. These people have always been the same people. The reason why they might not be doing this thing that they were doing then is probably because they are afraid of being cancelled. And so these old tweets are being used against them because it's believed that deep down, this is who they truly are. Besides the glamour, the glow, and the fame. So it's used against them. There's also this thing that I want to talk about. There is the reputation and there is the character, which are two different things. The reputation is what people think about you, and then your character is who you are. But sometimes people mistake the reputation for the character, and because of their distorted view of who you are, they think that is your character, that is who you are because of one thing you did, one mistake you made. This whole thing I've been talking about have been around people that have already made the mistake. What about people that haven't made the mistake yet? People that are not popular yet. They want to say something, but they have this idea that your future employer might be reading your tweet right now. What if you don't get employed because of something you tweeted now? What if it is used against you in a lawsuit in the future? This whole thing, it doesn't make anything easier. It doesn't make things easier at all. It doesn't make things easier. It just worsens matters because at the end of the day, people are not free to talk. I mean, there should be some amount of censorship, yes, and people shouldn't say everything that comes out of their mind. But this particular one is not just about the public safety. It's beyond that. It's not that. It's not about this public safety. It's more about the individual. You did something wrong, therefore you need to be persecuted for it. And the public perception often overrides reality. Here in Nigeria, just like different parts of the world, there is a culture of, bringing shame to the family. We see it in a lot of Nollywood movies. The idea that this thing you are doing,
is not just a representation of your character, it's a representation of the whole family. Whatever you do will be used against you in the court of law, except no one actually says it that way. But that's what they actually mean. Every move you make, everything you do, it's as if you are doing it, you are taking every step on behalf of the whole family, whether positive or negative. So what do? You prevent making the wrong steps so that you don't, you know, you don't disgrace the whole family. And this idea of public accountability as moral policing, people always point out, hey, look at what you did, look at this tiny mistake you made. Sometimes it's not even about reputation. Sometimes it's about this idea to, control people, show them that we are the ones that gave you this fame. We can take it away from you anytime, which is so unfair. And that brings me to the idea of cancel culture and reputation. I mean, there is an overlap, right? Uh, Cancel culture kind of amplifies reputation damage. It amplifies it because the idea that someone has been cancelled is as if their whole reputation. Sometimes, if you hear that someone has been cancelled by a particular group, by a particular, whether it's an ethnicity, a religion, or whatever, it seems as though this person's life is ruined. I mean, without being ruined, it's as if their life has somehow ended. They are no longer their full self because their reputation has been ruined, like it has been scattered, and it's always said in such a way that it almost feels like a shattered glass. It cannot be remolded, it cannot be recovered. This person has lost their reputation, like they have lost it forever to the to nothingness. They have lost it. They can never get it back again. And in Nigeria generally, when it comes to products, unlike in the West, I know that we're not people that cancel products like that. Eh? If you want your products to be abandoned by Nigerians mostly, maybe just increase the price, increase it beyond something that they can buy. I think that's our own way of canceling things. It doesn't really have to do with what did the manufacturer do, the CEO, was he involved in this kind of case or that kind of. People don't really care as long as it doesn't kill them. As long as it doesn't kill them and the price is not inflated, I think we buy it. Actually, I've never heard a case of someone that was publicly cancelled and then people, they had a problem with sales just because the CEO did one kind thing like that. Please, if you know you have heard of an incident or if you know you have witnessed an incident like that, please leave it as a comment on our Instagram. The username is at SCOC pod. SCOC pod. Moving on, there is this idea that, like this question I want to ask: is reputation control possible? Like, we define reputation as how people perceive us. So, my question is: can you actually control what people think of you? Because there's a difference between being authentic and being accepted. They are two different things. Sometimes they are two opposite things because the thing that makes you authentic might be the opposite of what might make you accepted by your group, whether it's your ethnicity, your religion, your family, whatever you group that you belong to. And the answer that I have for this question I asked is not entirely. I mean, it depends. It depends on the group, it depends on the size of the group. But you can't control what everyone thinks about you. You can try to make everyone like you. You can try to appeal to everyone, but it's very difficult and it's very, very tasking. Imagine having to be different versions of kindness. I mean, let's take kindness for instance. If you were to ask different individuals to give their own definition of kindness, some might tell you it's someone who is there for other people. Some might tell you it's someone who is there for other people, but their family first. Some might tell you someone who is there for other people, but first people that are there for them. There are different definitions. Some might tell you that kindness should know no boundaries. And it varies. And we're just talking about kindness, right? Now, the idea of reputation is kind of the same way. You can try to appeal to different people, but you can't appeal to everyone. That's just the fact. And if you keep trying to appeal to everyone, my dear, you're going to lose yourself. You're going to lose yourself. Like you're not going to be authentic. You're not going to be yourself. Eh? It's very, very difficult. Now, with that being said, I also want to discuss this idea of redemption. Is it possible for someone to rebuild their reputation? Hmm? Someone who lost their reputation, the way the public perceive them. and then they came back to how they were before the whole thing happened. I mean, I guess that's like some kind of fantasy because it almost never happens. The moment someone loses their reputation, whether they were actually maybe wrongly accused or they actually committed the offense for which they lost their reputation for. And when I say crime, I don't mean crime as in legally. I mean even moral crimes, crimes that are, formulated by the social media neighbors, the social media uncles, by the real life uncles that are not related to you in any way, people that you have no idea who they are, but they have this persona built for you in their head. They have already placed you on this pedestal. Is it possible that you can never be able to regain that your reputation? Is it possible to rebuild it to how it was? Because I already answered my own question because the answer for me is no, you can't. You can't go back to how it was before. It's the thing with losing your reputation. A lot of people that heard the information about what happened to you during that period, they are probably never going to hear your redemption story. That bad one they heard about you is probably the last one they are going to hear about you. They might never, ever, ever hear about your redemption story. So, whatever it is that you did will be stuck in their head forever. There's no redemption for you in their head. And that's the idea of reputation. So, even though your character changes, the reputation can hardly be restored. And that brings me to the final section, which is why everyone, famous or not, fears being excluded. I'm trying to tie it back to the human connection and the need to belonging. Okay, so there is the universal need for acceptance. Everyone wants to be accepted. Even when you're someone with little followership on social media, with the way things go viral, someone might have 20 followers today and have a million, possibly 2 million by the next day, depending on what happens. I know the exponential increase in followers doesn't happen every day, but it happens. It's a thing. You understand? It happens. So for young creators or beginner creators, there's this fear that what if this my awkward post, which I thought I was sharing with very few followers, what if one of my other posts goes viral and then this particular one, which I didn't want much people to see, maybe I haven't put the privacy settings there. I have not limited it to just myself and a few friends. It's still available to the public. What if it's goes viral together with the other one? And it usually goes viral after the good one. And then when this wrong one goes viral, when this one that is about to ruin your reputation goes viral, it's now like, oh, we thought you were this kind of person, but now we figured you out. Which is the fear of a lot of people, a lot of creators, a lot of human beings. I mean, why am I just talking about creators? A lot of human beings, people generally, they have this fear that they're going to be figured out. People are going to figure out that I'm not who I used to be, or maybe I am a different person, or maybe this is not who I used to be. People are going to figure out that I had a life before now, before this, my personality that they now like so much and admire. People are going to find out that I used to be a very nonsensical person. I used to be. I mean, I'm trying so hard not to get this episode marked as explicit, so I'm not going to use the bad words. But yeah, so why does it feel so personal, so overwhelming? Maybe it's because reputation isn't just about us. It's about belonging, acceptance, being part of a community. And when that feels threatened, it taps into something primal, like some kind of survival mode. After all, back in the day, being cast out from your tribe wasn't just embarrassing, it was dangerous. And even today, being publicly shamed, like losing your stand, it still feels dangerous, even when it's just words on the screen, like your tweets. We are also afraid of being judged. Who is doing the judging anyway? So we filter ourselves, we second guess, we perform, and maybe, just maybe, we lose a little piece of who we really are in the process. So, have you ever felt like you were cancelled within your own circle, even when you weren't in the public eyes? I would love for you to share your thoughts. Kindly send it as an email to dearscoc@gmail.com. The address and the link to the Instagram page is going to be in the description. And until next week, stay curious.